Hello, this is Darice. Welcome back to Moon Life Astro. And if you're new, welcome to the channel. Today, we're actually going to be talking about one of my favorite tools. This helps with prioritization and making decisions, and it's called the Eisenhower Matrix. Now, until a few months ago, I had no idea what that was, and you may not know what that is either, but chances are you've been using it unconsciously or consciously. I had been using it for years before I knew it was called the Eisenhower Matrix. And so I'll get into where that comes from. It's named after President Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was the 34th president of the United States from 1953 until 1961. Before becoming president, he served as a general in the United States Army, and he was also the Allied Forces Supreme Commander during World War II. He later then became NATO's first Supreme Commander. Now, having those kind of high profile, high stress, high pressure leadership positions, making decisions is critical and important. And he came up with a way to figure out how to decide and where to put his focus each day. So this led to him creating what many productivity and planning folks would call the world famous Eisenhower principle. And it helps us prioritize by urgency and importance. And for this video, for the first time, I've done this on YouTube. I'm going to share my screen of the image, and then you'll be able to see it while I talk about it as we go. Hopefully you can see it as well. And now basically, now if you're also familiar with Franklin Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they use this principle as well. I do remember reading that book years ago. I don't remember or recall if they actually referred to it as the Eisenhower Matrix when I read the book, but this was a chart that they used, and it was a game changer for me. So, if I remember correctly, urgent important is the first quadrant, important not urgent is the second quadrant, not important delegate is the third, and the fourth is not urgent delegate. And basically, if you can set yourself up to have like 80% of your life be in the important but not urgent, it reduces that first quadrant of important and urgent. And that was the biggest takeaway I got from the 7 habits of highly effective people. And so I just wanted to share that with you and kind of talk about this more, how this could work for you as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, and let's give you some examples of how this can play out in real life. So, for example, urgent important, that could be a tax deadline or maybe it's a launch glitch. Important not urgent could be marketing strategy, brand vision, or rest. Urgent not important, those last minute DMs, the endless Zoom meetings. And then not urgent, not important, that could be doom scrolling, over correcting, over perfecting, over analyzing. So I hopefully that makes sense. If you have comments, feel free to put those in the comments below, and then I can answer that. And then maybe I'll do another video expounding on that if people need help. But I'm going to go a bit more into this as we go along. So I'm trying to think of some other examples that might be helpful for people. So maybe important urgent can also be last minute request from people, especially if you end up with like a lot of like emails or text messages, say from vendors and other people. It's really important to decide, is it really important? Is it really urgent? Or is it something that I could delegate per chance? Maybe another way that often people get caught up in having a hard time trying to decide what goes into which quadrant, especially for solopreneurs. Sometimes saying yes to every urgent thing, quote unquote, that can sometimes lead to creative burnout. And we can also confuse urgent with your responsibility. And so I think in particular, especially I'm imagining with parents as well, there may be allotted tasks and responsibilities that are, of course, your responsibility, but other opportunities where you could be asking other people to support you and helping you do certain things, maybe for your children or your caretaking responsibilities, if you are taking care of, say, like a sick parent, that sort of thing. Are there things in your business, or if you still have a day job, that it's your responsibility, but maybe you could be delegating that to other people? So it frees up your time to stay in your zone of genius, to stay in what you're really good at, to stay in what is your gifts and talents. This is what I like about looking at this matrix. It helps me remind myself, okay, am I constantly overloading my schedule with things that are my responsibility, but are not necessarily my zone of genius or what I'm best at? And when you look at it that way, can become so much easier. For example, one of the things I hated doing was shredding. There'd be so much like snail mail or paperwork, and I used to shred that stuff myself. Okay, yes, it's my responsibility to get rid of that junk mail, but do I have to be the one who actually shreds the freaking paper and get dust everywhere and paper cuts in the process? I said, you know what? I could actually just take this to like a local office supply store and pay for them to shred it. And that freed up my time, and it gave me one less thing to do. Grocery shopping, for example, of course, is my responsibility. I need to feed myself, but I don't need to do the actual grocery shopping most of the time. There are delivery services. So now I have like 70 to 80% of my groceries delivered just to save time. And then once or twice a week, I go out and buy a handful of things that I specifically like to pick out for myself, that sort of thing. I'm just encouraging and inviting you to look at ways in where maybe you could look at how you can do that. Because what I found over the years of doing this process, a lot of what is important and urgent is often other people's ideas of what they think I need to do. And often it was a lot easier for me to delegate in my day job and also in my business. So think about where that might apply to you, because the more you can spend your time in that important, not urgent quadrant, the easier things get. So, example for health: when I'm eating well, when I'm exercising, when I'm doing those things, I don't create a situation that becomes important and urgent, like a health crisis, for example. When I take care of organizing my email on a regular basis using filters, it's easier for me to actually see the important and urgent emails that I need to respond to instead of going through all of them. That frees up time to really focus on what needs to get done and when it needs to get done. Another way to do this as well is using the moon. The new moon could be a great time to look at intentional scheduling of certain meetings, the important, not urgent. Maybe meeting with financial planners to look at the tax strategy for the business, for example. Full moon, that could be a great time for releasing distractions, looking at where you can take some of these important, urgent items or tasks that come up repeatedly that take you away from doing the things you love in your business. Maybe you can delegate that to someone. Maybe there are things that your email service provider can be doing for you, or maybe there are ways you could be using AI to help you with focusing on how you deliver your core services, your coaching, your client activities, creating time and space for those things. Is there a way to automate certain things on your calendar? Is there a way to work with either an AI assistant or an actual virtual assistant if you need to do that? And also, not important, not urgent. What can you delete? What things are you doing that you absolutely do not need to be doing, but you're doing them just out of habit or someone else's expectations of you? People who say you do XYZ if you're a business owner or if you're a parent, that sort of thing. Ask these questions. This is what I love about this matrix. It helps me have a framework to filter out those activities and to decide what needs to be released. Rest, important, not urgent. The more you rest on a regular basis, having a healthy sleep schedule, the easier it is to be productive during the day. the easier it is to really focus on what you need to focus on. Important, not urgent. Eating high nutrition, regular meals, that sort of thing. Important, not urgent. Building your email list on a regular basis. Important, not urgent. Setting aside a batch schedule for recording your videos on YouTube or your social media posts, that sort of thing. Hopefully, this is helpful. Um, the main thing as well, or one of the main points of this matrix that I love too, is that it's a reminder that we are not here to do it all. You are here to do what matters. It's also a great reminder that no is a sacred boundary that protects your creativity, your skills, your gifts, and your talent. So here's a potential practice for you, a 3-step practice that might help you utilize this matrix. Step 1, do a brain dump of all your to-dos, say for like an entire week. And then step 2, sort them into the Eisenhower matrix. And then 3, see if you can align those activities with the moon or the current energy. Say if the moon is in Aquarius, what kind of activities would be good for that? And we'll go from there. Another option that might be helpful is maybe some journaling prompts around these types of activities. Ask yourself, what is truly important to me this week? What urgent thing can I say no to or delegate? What's quietly calling for my time, even if it's not loud? The final optional challenge is to use this matrix every morning or night for the next 7 days. Track your clarity, energy, and alignment. If you take that on, let me know how it goes. Again, you can always put that in the comments. And if people would like me to do more videos on this topic, more examples, how to break this down, feel free to let me know in the comments. Hope you are well. I'm going to stop the share. Thank you for tuning in. Again, hopefully you found this valuable. Hope you find the channel valuable. Please do hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. That does help me get the message out to more people. Hope you are taking care of yourself. Wishing you much love, peace, and joy. Easefully yours, Darice.